Hi guys, and welcome to course week 13 in 2DV013. And it's also Black Friday. I don't know. Okay. This is a bit delayed due to my cold. Everyone else has been busy with other courses, so you're stuck with me for the rest of this course pretty much, and the group project module. We are here done with this part, more or less design patterns and architecture. Today is the deadline for submitting your assignment 2. I already seen some submissions. Don't miss it. 17 today, and the next chance will be in January. I encourage you to submit now, because whenever you submit later, I have less time to grade you and give you constructive feedback. It is also important that the parts that are in assignment 2 you kind of understand and everything is working for you before you start working on the group project. So it's really important that you try to to submit for this deadline now, and you should get feedback within 2 max 3 weeks. So from me. But we are still starting with the group project. Of course, I'm also a bit behind on putting up modules, theoretical and reading and so on for this module, but they will end up here, I promise. And we already had this week communication skills and group projects. Hopefully it got you started on bonding with your team members and good communication style. I will put materials from that seminar here, reading slides and some results from our questionnaires. I have looked at the video of the seminar. It's extremely difficult to record an interactive workshop, so I don't think I will put it up. And I think that would be the case for all the other workshops as well, maybe except the scaling. For scaling cloud native applications, I will first make a video with the theoretical material that you will need for assignment 3, the group project, and potentially for this one, but we'll see in how much time we'll have. This is the first time that we give this workshops in the course, so I really encourage you to be there in person or online when they are given. This, especially this part, will be part of the oral exam, and communication skills risk assessment you do need for the group project and for your group project report when you write your reflections. All right, let's look at the at this stuff a bit closer. All right. Oh, my voice is still not 100%, so bear with me. Okay, so assignment 3, starting now, group assignment. We have started forming groups. If you still haven't figured out who is your group partner, please post in Slack that you are available. If you know your group partner and you didn't tell me, then post in Slack under the pinned post, please. Those of you that already registered your group, you should be getting the GitLab group already. We this year I chose Pokemons for for your group names, so you got to sign a Pokemon and a group on GitLab. Here you will also get your group wiki that you get to put your project title, group members, URL to the deployed version of the project, report 1, report 2, and the postmortem. So this is for the very least. So this is already pre-populated, and it's pre-populated with the our awesome project template, which you would use for the submission, right? So just be mindful that there will be quite a bit of writing and the different UML schemes and so on. So this is just for the submission. All the documentation should be in the group wiki structured properly. And for your code, you should be able to put up repositories here. Here we go back here. So what to build, right? Previous years, Yuan designed this liter application, which I think is a very good example project. Although I personally dislike grading 20 projects of the same content, so I would like to give you freedom. You still can choose this if you don't have any other ideas. But even if you do pick this, I encourage you to contribute with new features. So instead of pedigree chart, think about what else you can implement. Use GPT to help you brainstorm additional things. And here I also given you some other ideas. If you're interested in AI, you can use. You can try to deploy one of the AI models as a microservice. If you're interested in IoT, you can come and with your ideas to me, and we can figure something out. If you want to build something for yourself or your work, let's try to design it together. All of the projects, though, should have these essential components. So authentication and authorization. If you haven't done it in the assignment 2, here it has to happen. We have to be able to create users and log in. We have to have persistent session management in some way. Check. Database to store and manage data efficiently. A must. Can we have a project without database? No. Some at least one backend handling business logic and database interactions. So think of it as a corresponding to like a Taskit service, Taskit microservice in assignment 2. Front end for user interface and experience. So the project should have an interface, a minimum, right? There should be at least 2 then microservices, so you can demonstrate synchronous and asynchronous communication. And again, you already have an example of that in assignment 2. So that's still a pretty good structure of a project. Whenever you design something new, think about that. The difference will then be that we will scale the database and we will scale the microservices in a different manner. And there is a bunch of non-functional requirements, which is, as I already said, replication of database. So if in assignment 2 we had only one instance of both Redis and Mongo or whatever other database you used, here you have to demonstrate that you can scale database across replicas and that you master the different patterns to offload databases. You should have a deployment pipeline, which I suggest that you start discussing that at the very beginning and how you're working with it. So how different stages that you will be using, how would you do deployment manually, automatically, or deploy to staging, which tests we're using, how secrets are shared, who is responsible for the deployment pipeline, etc. And for the continuous delivery principles, try to remember that everything you learned in all the courses during the program, we have used it previously in individual projects, but now you're working together. So what is your branching strategy? Once you're making, one of you making a feature, maybe it's a good idea to create a branch. How do you test it? At which point you're certain that you can merge it to main? How do you organize your repos? Is it going to be a mono repo, or are all microservices going to have a separate repository? How do you work? So with inspiration from the recent workshops, when do you meet? What tools do you use for planning? And here you will hopefully get more support during future workshops as well. Another non-functional requirement is in testing. So in an optimal project here, we should probably have 100% coverage of tests. We should have integration tests, load testing. We should do all sorts of things. Here we are, however, limited. So it is okay at the time of submission that you have low coverage, or if you maybe haven't tested all functionality in an automated manner. But every microservice should have at least one test and some test that is easy to fail as well. For instance, if you commit new functionality that you show that the pipeline fails. And there should be at least one way to demonstrate that the system scales correctly. How do you do it is your creativity is the limit. I will try to supply at least one example in one of the workshops of how it could be done using open source tools. However, you can use other third-party services. You can write your own script that is pretty simple, but in some way try to feed the system many requests, so you can demonstrate that the microservice that you scaled over several replicas works correctly. So we tried at least for one type of functionality that you implement. And another thing that we already talked before but haven't done for assignment 2 is that we have production environment and staging environment. Now, in terms of the resources, right now, as I said, we are making GitLab groups for you. And next week, you'll talk to Stefan about providing you with cloud infrastructure. You can still continue working with whatever you got in individually, but we will also create group accounts for your final project deployment. And depending on your ambition, for instance, if you want to create a separate Kubernetes instance and you're planning maybe more microservices than was stated in the minimal requirements, just let me know, and we can probably scale the your instances, the available instances accordingly. So that should be okay. And then the first deadline that we have to look out for is this one. I have updated it recently, so hard refresh if you don't have the latest one. It should be December 15th is update on the group wiki. And we will look at it in one of the either one of the workshops or submit through Slack. This is important, so all of you have a plan of what exactly needs to be built, that you have your deployment pipeline anatomy ready in some way. So it says link to start URL of the application. It can just be a hello world application. It can be whatever draft application you're starting with. Maybe you're starting from one of your assignment 2 drafts, but that you have set up your deployment pipeline, that you that you discussed your continuous delivery principles, who is doing what in what strategy, right? And it should have the design of your application. So that should probably be the things that you focus on the next 2 weeks, first and foremost. Some of you may already started on the creating a Figma sketch. Figma is not compulsory. You can use PowerPoint. You can use Lucid Chart, whatever. Just please don't use paper. Or if you do, digitize it accordingly, so I can understand when you submit it. And in general, some kind of sketching tool that you can collaborate on will make your life easier if you then need to change something and maintain those interface designs and sketches, right? The same goes for architectural overview of the system. If you're making UML diagram, to please also use digital tools, Draw.io, Lucid Chart, whatever that you used in maybe 607, if you recall that course, right? Object-oriented design. We will have a design meeting to go through this in more detail. Hopefully next Wednesday, if everyone is healthy and can be present, and I'll try to write down or record the key points to help you out with that part. Design should also contain the short description of microservices. So what part of your project you decided to abstract as a microservice, why, how it will communicate with the other ones. And it doesn't have to be final, of course, but some kind of starting point. What communication protocols and patterns you're going to be using. And again, we have to have at least two. Something synchronous, REST API, gRPC, whatever, and something asynchronous. And we will talk about more options apart from what we did in assignment 2 for that. And the strategy for data persistency and scaling of your database. Which database are you going to be using? And so on. Here, I would also suggest maybe, of course, deciding on what tools you're going to be using, what programming languages, what libraries, and division of labor. Specifically, if you're making a more cross-disciplinary project, like something focusing on IoT or AI, maybe some of you in the group is more towards the front end side of things. So try to decide on a somewhat even distribution of labor and sort of address it, discuss it in one of the workshop sessions. And as I said, this is okay I want to see every every submission of this before the deadline. So either come in person at the one of the workshops. We can probably also hold additional discussions if needed, and worst case, submit it on Slack. I will post a request for submission of the report there. Same way, report number 2. This says must be submitted by January 13. If we look at our wonderful planning here, let's see here. January 13 is when you also have oral exam. So basically, we will probably ask you questions on the report at the oral exam. So that's why that's the deadline of submitting the second report, and this is a final deadline of submitting the project. So questions like could be basically both like your experiences of the project, right? So parts of the so-called post-mortem What were your positive experiences? What were your negative experiences? And everything that had to do with the project planning, with things that went wrong. So basically, just to check that you actually have been active in your group, right? To talking about patterns that are used, how different communication protocols work, and so on. So we'll use the report number 2, so the extended extended report with the reflection of the outcome to lead the discussion at the oral exam, and then there will be some extra questions, of course. So yeah, I think that was it. long introduction of group project. And yeah, as I said, there will be more guidance and more workshops. I'm still kind of wondering what the correct order is. I think we might move this around, so we do first risk assessment and planning and design next week. So we all kind of check all the check boxes in report 1, and we also will make sure that all of you have your cloud infrastructure working and your deployment pipeline set up, and then we move on towards scaling considerations and different extended patterns that you would need to know for the project. And finally, we will do environmental impact. That is part of the course plan, and the oral exam last somewhere before Christmas. If you look here, we have it. Where are we? Yeah, here are the 2 extra workshops. Workshop times on Tuesdays, and then we have 1, 2, 3 Wednesdays left. So Wednesdays will also be probably more or less structured in the next weeks. Somewhere here, design meeting, week 50 for scaling, sort of advice, suggestions, questions, and so on. And the last one we save as a reserve or Q&A. So I think that is it. Let's take some questions, right? So yeah, answered. Yeah, I was supposed to work in GitLab in that same project. Yeah, so make additional repositories in your subgroup that you have received. Don't work in the same project that you're submitting. So similar principle to assignment 2. So if you see now, the assignment 2 has been thoroughly designed to prepare you for assignment 3. So all the same routines, but now you work together and you build something slightly bigger, something that scales more automatically and in a more complex manner. Otherwise, very much similar workflow as for assignment 2. All right, my voice is leaving me again, so I am gonna avrunda. Finish this, and I'll see you next week on Tuesday, and I will post once I updated materials online. And have a good weekend. Hopefully you don't get my cold, because that is terrible. And I'll see you next week. Have a good Advent. Bye bye.